Good evening. I'm Jacob Mata.
And I'm Silver Barker. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio.
The death toll in Kentucky is now at 37, with hundreds of people still missing.
This is due to a deadly flooding disaster where search and rescue crews are battling difficult terrain.
Mary Maloney reports on how a shift in the weather is expected to cause more issues.
Just a total wreck, total mess.
As survivors sort through the catastrophic damage left behind, search and rescue crews in flood-stricken eastern Kentucky are intensifying their work to reach trapped people.
It is absolutely devastating out there.
I think the worst is still to come if we aren't able to clear paths and get to these people.
Despite washed out roads, bridges, and isolated terrain, crews are still finding bodies, raising the death toll. They've been battling hot weather for days, and temperatures are expected to climb into the 90s Wednesday and Thursday. But combined with humidity, it will feel close to 100 degrees.
It's going to get really, really hot, and that is now our new weather challenge.
Last week's flooding disaster has killed more than 36 people, ripped homes from their foundations, and wiped away people's livelihoods.
In 71 years, I ain't never seen nothing like this.
We work hard for ourselves. And then just to watch it all go in a matter of seconds, it's awful.
Many of those who made it don't have a home to return to, as others deal with major power outages, lack of water, and disrupted cell phone service, making it hard to communicate with loved ones.
With the heat, once it dries up through the day, it's just muggy, humid. People will suffocate. A lot of people on oxygen that don't have power are already suffering.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
Ohio saw less severe flooding last night, but it closed roads in Meigs County today. SR 124 is closed and barricaded, and Route 143 was closed this morning, but it reopened this afternoon. It is not confirmed if there has been any other flooding or road closures in the past 24 hours. Officials are asking people to avoid Dallas, West Virginia, and the Dallas Pike Road area after a possible tornado caused significant damage yesterday. Authorities reported damage to several homes and barns after severe weather. WTOV reports the National Weather Service is sending a team to the area today to survey the damage and determine if there was a tornado. Forecaster Peyton Simchek joins us to talk about what we're seeing today after yesterday's severe storms.
Yeah, Silver, we did see a flood warning this morning, but it did end up expiring, and the heat did start to build up. As you can see here, we're actually in a heat advisory warning right now in the Athens area and to the west of us, so definitely keep that in mind. It could potentially get to a dangerous heat level, but I'll talk about that later in my full weather forecast. And in Athens right now, we are looking at 86 degrees, and it is pretty humid out, so that's shooting our heat index up to 88 degrees. So it is feeling a little bit hotter than it actually is, and it is fair outside right now. And as for across the board, we are looking at low 80s to high 80s in the Athens area. We're looking at 88 degrees, and in surrounding areas, Lancaster, Wilmington, we're looking at 84, and up to Columbus, we are looking at 88. And all day after the flood warning left, we haven't been seeing rain this afternoon, but I'll talk about if that'll come back in my full weather forecast.
Thanks, Peyton. Ohio is having another primary election today, and turnout is expected to be low. Big ticket races for governor, U.S. Senate, and Congress were decided back in May, but more than 100 races for the Ohio Senate, Ohio House, and Party Central Committee seats didn't make it on the ballot due to restricting delays. Polls close at 7:30 p.m. Big changes could be coming to the streets of Uptown Athens. Athens Mayor Steve Patterson says he's considering the idea of making Court, West Union, and Congress streets two-way roads. Patterson's main reasoning for wanting to make these changes is to try and reduce traffic flow and confusion. A delivery driver who regularly uses Court Street says the changes would make his job easier.
Logistically, like how it would work, but I would enjoy it just because I deliver a lot of food on this street, so I'm constantly frequenting the street, and it's like impossible to maneuver around the city half the time, so I would enjoy that.
Patterson says he's been looking into the changes since 2016.
Athens residents turned out and forced yesterday's city council meeting to ask the council to protect reproductive rights within city limits. A call to attend the meeting was put out on social media by a group on Facebook called Athenians for Bodily Autonomy. The group focuses on abortion and transgender rights. If Athens were to adopt an ordinance to decriminalize abortion, it would join these major Ohio cities in taking a stance on the overturn of Roe. The group plans to submit the ordinance to council in hopes it will be introduced for a first reading at the Athens City Council meeting on August 15th. Over 1,000 Ohio K-12 schools in 81 counties are getting $47 million in funding for physical security upgrades. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine announced today these grants awards would allow schools to purchase cameras, automatic door locks, and visitor badging systems. The schools are getting up to $50,000 each. They applied but didn't receive funding when the program was launched in 2021. The state is offering a total of $100 million in grants for school safety upgrades supported by federal pandemic relief funding. Coming up, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is stopping in Taiwan during her tour of Asia, how U.S. and Chinese officials are reacting to the visit. Plus, a 9/11 planner was killed in a U.S. drone strike. More on how the operation took place. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
I'm kind of the family historian.
On Finding Your Roots, Jimmy Kimmel.
I videotape my relatives. I keep all the family photos.
Marissa Tomei.
I love my particular family's heritage, our traditions.
And John Turturro.
With my family, nothing surprises me.
From Italy.
It took so much courage.
Either courage or desperation.
To a new life.
Wow.
Italian Roots.
It's a big journey.
Big time.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
On country music, a new sound comes out of California.
I think, for me, Merle Haggard all by himself saved country music.
Loretta Lynn brings a fresh perspective to country.
Whatever's in that woman's heart comes out her mouth.
And Charlie Pride blazes a trail of his own.
Once they heard me sing, I don't care if he's green, I like his singing.
When country music continues.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, would the value of this Western painting leave you speechless?
It's a classic Western scene. It is a Utah scene, and that makes it somewhat rare.
His work is highly coveted and desired. It really is a very special piece. Okay.
Find out more next time on Antiques Roadshow from the Hotel Del Coronado in Coronado, California.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
On Nova, Universe Revealed.
A black hole is the greatest exhibition of nature's mysterious powers.
An infinitely dense point
that causes ripples in the fabric of space-time itself.
If you really want to understand the deepest questions of the universe, you have to understand black holes.
Black Holes on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
China is warning the United States shouldn't, quote, openly play with fire. Chris Wynn has the latest as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi makes a stop in Taiwan during her ongoing tour of Asia.
Tensions tightening between the United States and China as U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi arrives in Taiwan Tuesday.
As we can see, such a visit is apparently very much dangerous, very much provocative.
Pelosi is the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit the democratic self-governing island in a quarter of a century. Her trip coming at a low point in U.S.-China relations as China escalates its rhetoric over what it regards as a breakaway province.
We will not take the bait or engage in saber-rattling.
Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to seek an unprecedented third term at the upcoming Chinese Communist Party Congress. As a result, Chinese party officials are expected to soon begin laying the groundwork for that conference, putting pressure on the leadership in Beijing to show their strength.
We're keeping a close eye on Pelosi's trip. If the U.S. insists on going its way, China will take firm and strong measures to safeguard its sovereignty.
The speaker, who has bipartisan support for the visit, issued a statement upon arrival saying in part, "Our congressional delegation's visit to Taiwan honors America's unwavering commitment to supporting Taiwan's vibrant democracy." The White House also reacting, saying Pelosi's trip is consistent with America's One China policy.
For China to try to turn what is in the historical norm into a crisis or to try to use it as a pretext for aggressive action around Taiwan, that's on them, and they would be the ones who'd be escalating.
I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
President Joe Biden did not endorse Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, but U.S. officials believe China doesn't differentiate much between Biden and Pelosi and see this as an administrational visit. Both protesters and supporters surrounded the Taipei airport as Pelosi arrived in Taiwan. WNBA star Brittany Griner arrived at a Moscow court for a 7th hearing today. The defense will continue presenting witnesses to testify in the case, but no verdict is expected. Griner pled guilty to drug charges early last month in an attempt to mitigate her sentence. The 31-year-old Olympic medalist has been held in Russia since February on the allegations. It's a crime punishable by up to 10 years in Russia.
A U.S. drone strike has killed a 9/11 planner who President Joe Biden says has targeted Americans for decades. Amy Kiley reports on the operation that took down Al-Qaeda leader Ayman Zawahiri.
Nobody attacks the United States and gets away with it.
The most wanted terrorist in the world is now dead. The White House confirms the U.S. has killed 9/11 planner Ayman Zawahiri in a drone strike. That's prompting praise for U.S. intelligence agencies and the military.
This is a very, very symbolic success to bring one of the last of the original Al-Qaeda leaders who did so much damage around the world.
There have been months and maybe even years going into the targeting of Zawahiri.
President Joe Biden says the U.S. identified an optimal time to target Zawahiri about a week ago. He says the strike took place in Kabul, Afghanistan, Sunday morning local time.
None of his family members were hurt, and there were no civilian casualties.
The chair of 9/11 Families United is thanking those involved with the operation. She's also criticizing Biden for his recent trip to Saudi Arabia and former President Donald Trump for hosting a Saudi golf event. The group alleges that country helped fund the 9/11 attacks. The Saudi government denies that, and the 9/11 Commission found no proof of it. The White House says no American personnel were on the ground during the strike that killed Zawahiri.
It shows what our commitment is in terms of telling the American people in the world that we will not allow terrorism to go unchecked.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
A senior administration official says the White House tried to mitigate the risk to other efforts in Afghanistan. It's been trying to relocate Afghans who helped the U.S. during the war, and it wants to free Mark Frerichs, an American being held hostage in the country. A Texas man who was convicted of bringing a gun to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th and threatening House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was sentenced yesterday. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. sentenced Guy Frederick to more than 7 years in prison. This is the longest insurrection-related sentence to date. Reffitt was recruiter for the right-wing militia known as the Three Percenters, and he was the first Capitol rioter to go to trial rather than take a plea agreement. Reffitt was found guilty of 5 felonies, including transporting and carrying a firearm on Capitol grounds, interfering with Capitol Police, and obstructing an official proceeding.
President Joe Biden formally named Robert Fenton as a national monkeypox response coordinator today. He'll be coordinating the federal government's response to the outbreak, including equitably increasing the availability of tests, vaccinations, and treatments. Fenton comes from a federal emergency management agency where he was a regional administrator overseeing Arizona, California, Hawaii, and Nevada. President Joe Biden has yet to shake off COVID-19 testing positive for the virus again today. According to presidential doctor Kevin O'Connor, the president says he feels well overall. O'Connor added Biden hasn't had a fever but does have a nagging cough. Biden is fully vaccinated and double boosted. The president will remain in isolation as he deals with his condition. A monkeypox drug is available for patients needing treatment, but access is limited. A closer look into why, that story still ahead.
We've been seeing some warm and dry temperatures recently, but how long will those last? Find out in my full weather forecast when Newswatch returns.
I'm kind of the family historian.
On Finding Your Roots, Jimmy Kimmel.
I videotape my relatives. I keep all the family photos.
Marissa Tomei.
I love my particular family's heritage, our traditions.
And John Turturro.
In my family, nothing surprises me.
From Italy.
It took so much courage. Either courage or desperation.
To a new life.
Wow.
Italian Roots.
It's a big journey. Big time.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
On America Outdoors. This region is where the first European colonists arrived, and the first enslaved peoples. So if I want to explore how the outdoors have shaped me and my country, there's no better place to do that than here. And no better place to start than in a swamp.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
On The Great American Recipe.
Congratulations on making it to the Final Four.
As we progress in this competition, the judges are getting more critical.
I would maybe add a little lime just to make it fresh.
Okay. I really need to make sure that it's on point.
I need to focus so I can make it to the end.
Some things can go wrong. I just needed to make my best dish.
I'm gonna go big or I'm going home, literally.
3 of you will be moving on to our finale.
The Great American Recipe, Friday at 9/8 Central on PBS and the PBS app.
On Nova, Universe Revealed.
A black hole is the greatest exhibition of nature's mysterious powers.
An infinitely dense point
that causes ripples in the fabric of space-time itself.
If you really want to understand the deepest questions of the universe, you have to understand black holes.
Black holes on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Luckily, that flood warning left us earlier this morning, but as the afternoon went on, the heat did start to build up. That heat advisory that we're seeing here, it has been lasting throughout the day, and it is only getting hotter, which I'll talk about later, but that could potentially get dangerous. In fact, today in Athens, we had a temperature high of 86 degrees, but it was humid, so it did feel a little bit hotter, and it was mostly sunny on top of that. But later on, our temperature low is going to be 66, so it is going to get a little bit cooler. But throughout the area today, after that flood warning left, we didn't see any rain pass through our area. We do see a little bit in the Parkersburg area throughout the day, but not here in Athens. But we'll see if that'll last later on. I'll get into that. But on a wider scale, we are seeing some light to heavy rain and west to us with some cloudy skies following. But the only thing that we could see from that, there is a possibility of some fog this evening in our area, but for the most part it will be mostly clear with an overnight low of 66. So for the most part it's going to be some pretty settled weather tonight. But moving into tomorrow, we are looking at a temperature high of 92 degrees. We do have some high pressure moving in, so those dry conditions are going to linger around for a little bit, and it is going to be mostly sunny on top of that, so it's going to be really hot out tomorrow. And in fact, we have a temperature low of 71, which is higher than the average low. It's going to be a really hot day. Our heat index actually could reach 100 degrees, so it's going to feel really hot tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm going to make it outside with that. And on Thursday, we do have a mostly dry day, but later on into the night, we do have a cold front moving into the southeastern area, so that is going to bring some rainfall tomorrow night, but it won't be excessive until Friday. We are going to be expecting some excessive rainfall all day long, so definitely keep that in mind, because that flood warning that we saw earlier, that could move back in on Friday. But Wednesday, tomorrow, it is supposed to be the only sunny day that we're really seeing here across the board, because Thursday and Friday we are seeing showers, but on Saturday we are expecting a mostly dry day, but we are going to see some spotty showers here and there. And to wrap up this lovely weekend, on Sunday we are seeing another chance of thunderstorms, so that's coming back with a high of 88 and a low of 69, so it is going to be a humid day. And starting off next week on Monday, we are looking at a high of 85 with a low of 70, with that chance of thunderstorms still lingering around. So that rain that we're seeing, that's going to last for quite a bit, and that is going to continue into Tuesday with a high of 81 and a low of 70. So tomorrow's going to be the hottest we're going to see, and it's going to be pretty humid on top of that. And as for wrapping up the week, Thursday it's going to be 91, and as Friday we're going to see 84. So we're keeping up into those hot temperatures. So definitely get outside tomorrow and enjoy this last sunny day while you still can.
Thanks, Peyton. A drug is available for monkeypox patients who have severe disease or who are at risk for it, but doctors say the drug is hard to get. Mandy Gaither has the latest as 3 states declared public health emergencies.
California and Illinois now join New York State declaring a public health emergency over the monkeypox outbreak.
The U.S. is now leading the world when it comes to the total number of cases.
Across the U.S., more than 5,800 confirmed cases, the virus found in every state but 2, Wyoming and Montana, according to the CDC. TPOXX is considered an experimental treatment for monkeypox. It was FDA approved for smallpox, a virus in the same family. While there's no human trial data to prove it's effective in treating monkeypox, the CDC says doctors may want to use TPOXX in those with symptoms in hazardous areas like the eyes, in people with severe symptoms like sepsis, or people at risk of severe illness like those who are immunocompromised.
Anecdotally, 2-3 doses of this TPOXX medicine is really making a difference for people, and these lesions are just melting away.
The U.S. government stockpiled nearly 2 million doses of the drug in case of a bioterrorism event, despite the CDC and FDA cutting some red tape for monkeypox patients to get the antiviral drug. Some say it's still hard to access.
You're talking about a 5-6 day time lag to get that medication to you at a local doctor's office, no matter where you are. And the paperwork and all of the bureaucracy to make that happen is very cumbersome, takes a few hours of your time. And that's the barrier.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Although some doctors have reported cases in which they think TPOXX may have been beneficial, the CDC says evidence of how well it works in humans has been limited.
Coming up in sports, Paul Brown Stadium might have a new look soon. Find out more about the home of the Bengals when Newswatch returns. But be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
On America Outdoors. This region is where the first European colonists arrived, and the first enslaved peoples. So if I want to explore how the outdoors have shaped me and my country, there's no better place to do that than here. And no better place to start than in a swamp.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
Meet Zimbabwe's breakout presidential candidate. On the eve of Election Day, the incumbent seizes control of the vote. A sobering account proving the fight for democracy never ends.
Those who believe in change,
President on POV.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
The relationship between plants and humans is extraordinary. We've been adapting to each other for as long as we've been on the planet.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email WOUB@WOUB.org.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. An Ohio soccer coach is taking on a new role for the upcoming season. Courtney Weisler takes the role of associate head coach for 2023. Weisler pairs up with head coach Aaron Rodgers in hopes of building on the success of last season. The Bobcats finished 11-5-3, good for third in the MAC, and earned a trip to the conference semifinal game. Weisler has been a part of the staff since 2019 as an assistant coach. Weisler gets her first shot in the new role a week from today in an exhibition match against Dayton. Ohio football is in day 2 of its fall camp, gearing up for the new season. Ohio welcomes new defensive coordinator to Athens. Spence Nowitzki takes over an experienced defensive unit. Head coach Tim Albin says he's excited about the pairing.
I think the middle of our defense, with what we return a linebacker with Key Thompson back, Jeremiah Wood back.
The Bobcats look to rebound after giving up 433 yards per game last season. Meanwhile, in the Queen City, the Reds are out of the NL Central basement. Cincinnati took down the Miami Marlins last night and is just half a game away from the Chicago Cubs for third in the division. Hunter Green got the start and his first win for the Redlegs in nearly 2 months. The 22-year-old went 6 innings and struck out 8 batters without giving up a run. Albert Amora Jr. gave Green a 2-run cushion with a 2-run double in the second as the Reds pulled away for a 3-1 victory. A couple of players won't be contributing to the Cincy's run any longer. Brandon Drury and Tyler Malley were dealt today before the 6 p.m. trade deadline. Drury was sent to the San Diego Padres, and Malley joins the Minnesota Twins as the Reds look to rebuild. Drury and Malley joined Naquin, Castillo, and Pham, who were all traded before the deadline. Cincinnati wasn't the only team looking to make moves. As I said, today is the MLB trade deadline as many teams look to add that key piece to make a World Series run. The San Diego Padres think they have their final piece, trading for Juan Soto in a blockbuster deal. San Diego sends a haul of prospects over to the Washington Nationals in return for one of the brightest young stars in baseball. Soto is now paired with Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr., creating one of the best trios in baseball. Padre first baseman Eric Hosmer was supposed to be part of that deal for Soto. Hosmer rejected the deal but was later involved in another trade with the Boston Red Sox. New renovations could be coming soon to Paul Brown Stadium. A live sports betting club, standing room only decks with drinks rails, and a nightclub could all be coming to the home of the Cincinnati Bengals. WCPO obtained 45 pages of ideas and renderings to upgrade the 20-year-old stadium with no price tag included. All this comes with an uncertain future for Paul Brown Stadium. The team's lease with Hamilton County expires in 2026. The Bengals hired a Los Angeles-based architecture and design firm, Gensler Sports, to evaluate the stadium. Gensler expects to unveil the plan for renovations in November. That's it for sports. Back to you, Jacob. Thanks, Aiden. The author known as the King of Horror is involved in an ongoing trial against the world's largest book publisher. Stephen King testified in a Washington, D.C. courthouse today. The trial will determine if Penguin Random House LLC can purchase its competitor, Simon & Schuster, for Incorporated. The Justice Department argues that the sale would give Penguin Random House too much control over who and what is published, as well as how much authors are paid for their work. Stephen King said consolidation is bad for competition.
It's supposed to be mostly clear tonight with an overnight low of 66. Thank goodness it is cooling down from what we've been seeing today, but not for long, because tomorrow it's coming right back. In fact, even hotter, because we're looking at 92 degrees with a low of 71, and it will be mostly sunny, and that might be the last time you see the sun for quite some time, because for the rest of the next couple of days and into next week, we are seeing excessive rainfall.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Jacob Mata.
And for Peyton Simchek and Aiden Crowley, I'm Silver Barker. Have a great night.
Support comes from Snyder Strode Jarrett Financial in Athens, providing investment and retirement planning assistance to Southeast Ohio for over 50 years. Snyder Strode Jarrett, not just another financial firm. More information at ssj.finance.